Hey, Ryan Reynolds here.
It's uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley's simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.
Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that? Who that? Who that say they gon' beat them say? Who that? Yeah. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Long as I'm living, I'm a who that. Lose or winning, I'm a who that. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Vincent, I'm a who that. I'm a who that. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell.
All right. Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're now rocking with the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys, where we have intense, entertaining, educating, and enlightening sport talk from your favorite sports fam. What's poppin'? Shout out to the mighty Who Dat Nation. We up in this thing, Sports Coma, representing, man. Much love to you guys. Appreciate y'all for being in the live on this one, man. And straight off the bat, happy Father's Day. All right, round of applause for all the responsible dads and the guys that's trying to do it right. Shout out to you guys, man, for who you are and what you do, handling the business, being responsible, and much love to the fam. Appreciate y'all. Good to see all of y'all in the stream as well, and the queens, the kings, everybody. OG being a member for 12 months. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Shout out to OG. All right, big ups to Kathleen as well. KB, shout out to the queens. Carla is in this thing. Good to see you. Bro, what's up, Bronze? Shout out to Bronze. Jones Jr., who that to your fam. Appreciate you as well. Good to see you. Brother Kai's in this thing as well. Much love to all of the fam, man. I appreciate y'all for showing up tonight, man. Give me a little bit of time. We'll talk some black and gold on this Sunday night. What's up, Backwoods? Shout out to Backwoods. What's up, Natasha? Shout out to Tasha in this thing as well. What's up, Desi? All the queens representing, baby. But how y'all doing? Chantel, how you doing, queen? Much love to my girls, the ladies out there doing it up. What's up, brother Scoob? What it do, pimpin'? Shout out to my brother Scoob as well. Good to see y'all in the chat. What's up, Jaden? Shout out to Jalen. Uncle Paulie is in this thing. What's happening, Uncle Paulie? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing all right. Trey, shout out to Trey, is in this thing as well. Much love, brother. Good to see you in the stream. Much love, man. All right, Poppy 504. Good to see you, Poppy 504. Thank you, sir. Much love. Y'all do me a service, man. Hit the like button, man. Let's get the likes up and the algorithm popping. What's up, Sonia? Shout out to Sonia. Is in this thing as well. Much love, man. Good to see y'all in the building, man. Listen, fam. Of course, a few days ago, maybe a handful of days ago, a few days ago, more than a few days now, Saints made some moves, man. They did the little 2-day mini camp situation. They kind of cut it short on the second day, but we seen some footage, was able to see how they look, and they are definitely, in my opinion, headed in the right direction. I don't think this will be an instant thing, but I do think finally the Saints are headed in the correct direction that they should be going in. I know a lot of people probably feel the same way, that at some point we were supposed to do this and kind of start again and stop trying to piecemeal this thing together. So we got a couple of young quarterbacks, and just like we said about the Spencer Rattler thing, that Spencer Rattler was going to give the rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck everything he can have. I know Tyler's supposed to be the appointed, anointed guy with the new staff, but in the end, Spencer Rattler saying, "Hey man, I'm not here to be your backup. I'm not here to kind of, hoist you up. I'm here to I'm here to take the job. I'm here to take the job from you, baby." And not having a veteran quarterback ahead of this too, Spencer Rattler a year in, Tyler still have to learn the game, so Spencer does have a leg up on him. And we seen how he looked. We know he was about the business this offseason, being at camp training. He's serious. And let me tell you something, he got a real shot at this thing. A real shot at it. So either way, I think it'll be a really good quarterback competition between these guys. I think it'd probably be the best of the competitions in training camp. Obviously, the most high of the most well-lit one, or the one that'll be highlighted the most, right? All right, what's up, Tangeray T? Shout out to you. Salute to you. Appreciate you as well. Much love, fam. Appreciate you for stopping by as well. Much love to all you guys. What's up, Reginald? Shout out to Reggie. All right, Be Great Josh. Shout out to you, fam. I see you, man. Appreciate you. See Bama. What's up, baby? All right, happy Father's Day to you, fam, as well. Good to see you as well. Yes, indeed. So, I mean, at the end of the day, that's one of the things that I feel really good about, and seeing some of these guys. But this is what I wanted to focus on this side of the broadcast. For the Saints to kind of have success, we know they signed Cam Akers. You guys know they're well aware the Saints inked a Cam Akers to a 1-year deal. And the reason being is because they need that. If the Saints are going to have any success coming up in this upcoming year, it has to be through the running attack, offensively speaking, because you have an inexperienced quarterback, either Spencer or Tyler, who's a rookie. It's going to be some inexperienced stuff going on at the quarterback position. So the best way we can help out our young signal callers is by fortifying as much as we can do around them. Case in point, building the offensive line. We've seen how they looked, and seeing all of those guys together in camp at the same time was pretty good. To see some of these guys cut their hair, Cam blinded out his hair. You've seen Tyrann Mathieu do his thing as well. And it's always a revigoration as we get ready, because these are the foundation pieces, as you will, being laid for what should be an interesting season for the Saints. Now, whether you see the Saints as a 3-game team, a 3-game winning team, or a 7+ or 8+ game winning team this upcoming season, any success that the Saints are going to have has to be through the running attack. So getting a guy like Cam Akers, and we know he dealt with some injuries, but if you can put him together in a competent running room, man, listen, this will be a very good move. A lot of people see Cam Akers as a hell of a running back prior to the injury he has, but he's not a featured back anymore, right? We know that. He's not a featured back, but he's good in a group setting, which is what we have here. Even though we see Elvin as a featured back, the Saints don't really feature Elvin like that, do they? Because at one point we knew Coach Payton was using his abilities, but these last few offensive coordinators, we don't use Elvin as imaginative as we could. Like, we can decoy him, we can move him out to wide receiver, we can use him as a vestige to open up opportunities for other running backs, and this type of stuff that we can consider actually doing if we have that imagination. Does Kellen Moore have that? I'm pretty sure he does. He has a lot of stuff that he wants to do with the running backs. You've seen some ideas with Jawan Johnson and screen actions and doing the screen action, stuff like that. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. But the Cam thing, man, get him in 5-year. He's a 5-year veteran, split time with the Texans, the Vikings, 444 yards rushing. Not much to talk about, but he was an excellent running back. A 3rd-round draft pick guy there, young talent. But he'll be thrown in the mix with the rest of these guys, and I just think this is a good mix. And it'll create competition in the running back room come time for the big camp to kick in. So, like I said, This guy's a Super Bowl guy, you know, with the Rams with their championship run, was effective in the postseasons, doing a lot of work there. And the dude's going to be with the Saints for 1 year. So I like this. I like this pickup by the Saints because obviously he will help you where it counts in the running back room. And if we take a look at the depth chart right here, fam, as you can see right here on screen, the running back room is going to be very important. You see AK-41 right here. Kendre Miller, who is also someone we'll be keeping an eye on because a question mark. If you look at the running back room, the top five there, if you look at the 5 running backs there in their running back room, AK-41's one, Kendre Miller, Devin Neal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers is thrown in the mix. And then you got a lot of inexperienced guys like Xavier Valladay, Velus Jones Jr., who could possibly catch on as a returner. That's his value in Marcus Yarns, who's a very good undrafted running back. But when you got a loaded room like this, it's a positive because injuries at some point would impact your room and you'll see guys kind of fall off and then guys have to step it up. So, you know, this is a good room, a good young room. But Kendre Miller definitely has to step up at that number 2 position. Devin Neal and guys like Cam Akers and these guys will be on his back. So like I said, this is a year, and we already heard what Kellen Moore said about, you know, this is a clean slate for Kendre Miller because the Possum had this weird thing where he would kind of pinpoint the man and he would talk about this, that, and the third with Kendre Miller, put him on the injury list and he wasn't even injured, just do all kind of rotten stuff, but didn't do anything to the other guys who were also as injured as Kendre Miller. Wouldn't do a damn thing. How about that other guy who can't seem to stay healthy on the offensive line, Nick Saldiveri? Why they wasn't rolling him up and throwing this kind of stuff to him, you know? So, I mean, and anyway, that guy Miller has, even as banged up as he is, he even played a hell of a lot more than Nick Saldiveri ever did. Matter of fact, isn't Nick Saldiveri hurt right now? So, I mean, it just doesn't stop. But the point is, with the running back room, fam, Kellen Moore coming here, he knows that for the Saints to have success, that's the number one thing they got to focus on. Let me share this graphic with y'all, fam. This is one of the things, kind of share this graphic with y'all about this. And this is the Saints 24-25 season rushing stats versus the Eagles 24-25 season. It's a comparison. And as you compare the two, you can see exactly what we're talking about here, what Philly did, which helped them hoist themselves to the next level, which helped them get to the Super Bowl. Man, they were menacing. This was the second best team in the NFL in running the football, and they did it masterfully. Barkley was excellent, and that's what they did. They ranked second in the NFL. They averaged 5 yards a carry. You can see the attempts right there, and they ran averaged 179 yards per game. They had 29 rushing touchdowns. So you look at that and you contrast that versus what the Saints did. You got over 3,000 rushing yards. The Saints just over 1,900. Saints were middle of the pack in the rushing attack last year and averaged almost 4.5 yards per carry at 115 per game, and not 29, but almost half of the touchdowns at 15. And the crazy part about it is, in some of these games last year, the Saints simply were one-dimensional, and people say offensive line injuries, this type of thing, all this stuff. But they just couldn't move the ball. However you want to look at it, they could not run the football, and then they would have to create plays where the guy ran out. And me personally, I just thought that if the offensive lineman can't block, let me get rid of this guy and get somebody that can block. And my temperament is I have zero patience for offensive linemen that can't run block. I understand some of them struggle pass blocking or, blocking pass rushes, this type of stuff. I get that. But if you're an NFL offensive lineman, you're supposed to know how to run block. You're supposed to know how to put your hands on the guy in front of you and kindly, as rudely as you can, escort him to the ground, or to pancake land or whatever you got to do, or move him on out the way, whatever you got to do to get him on out there within the letter of the law. You remove him and open up area and space and opportunity for running backs behind you that's coming through there. That's my philosophy when it comes to that. And we just had too many of those. Even as backups, you're still supposed to know how to run. You're still supposed to be a mauler. You're still supposed to know what you're doing out there. And a lot of times those guys, their communication was bad. They didn't know who they was blocking. They were weak and sometimes stupid. Let's be honest. So in the end, it failed us. This can't happen this year if we are supposed to have sustained success in attempting to have a successful season. Now, the question is, can the Saints win more than 5 games? Wasn't it 5 games? Can they win more than 5 games? We don't have a terribly difficult conference that we play in. The NFC South is not terribly complicated. It's not. But smart football, and we've seen this before, and I'm not saying the Saints going to go from worst to first, but at the bottom line, if you don't shoot yourself in the foot, you create opportunities for your offense, and you go back to fundamentals, which is running the football and getting a mean temperament. So having a Kelvin Jones Jr. at left tackle, having a Talifuaga at right tackle, and Andrus competing with Dylan Runnants and a healthy McCoy and a upgraded Cesar Ruiz should help the Saints do that, along with fortification of offensive line. We've seen the Saints try out several different offensive linemen. None of them were big name people. You know, not so much big name, but known people. A lot of these guys that we bring, these offensive linemen they were bringing here, were undrafted guys, or guys that were you need. You know, when you look at a picture of them, you know, you just see, you know, you ask for a picture and it's a Saints helmet or something. They had one guy was trying to look at tape on the man, and all I could see is somebody stuck him up. A guy put a pistol on him and robbed him. I'm like, man, where the footage? But anyway, this is what we got going on right here. And as we can see, the comparison, the Eagles had a significantly stronger rushing offense than the Saints did in 24-25. The Eagles rank much higher in total rushing yards, second versus 14th, and a higher average yards per game. They also had more rushing touchdowns and a higher yards per average. And then, of course, you look at the individual performance, which was phenomenal. Saquon Barkley was just on another world. Over 2,000 rushing yards in the season. Alvin Kamara had 950 yards. So that's a big disparity. So Alvin Kamara has to have a Saquon Barkley type year with Kellen Moore there. It would be cool to see that, because we've never seen that before from Alvin Kamara. And this is it's just totally awesome that he has the Saints rushing record, despite the fact that he never individually each season ran for 1,000 yards. 950. He was 50 short of 1,000, and we knew he wanted 1,000 yards. But can this upcoming season be a year in which Alvin eclipses the 1,000 yards for the first time? That would be so awesome. I just hope we can get him there, but the health is a part of it. But getting him in with a healthy rushing attack and being able to utilize him, because he's a well-tuned athlete, which you can move him around this, that, and the third, and always in the best physical shape, right? If they had a game right now, Alvin Kamara could play in the game. That's what he is. He's always ready to play football. He's top-notch, top shape, always in shape. So it's no issue with Alvin Kamara. He's going to be ready. He's ready right now. So being able to get him to the position where we maximize his abilities and be able to put a stable of running backs that complement what he does and keeps him in the rhythm, and use him to get other people advantages or opportunities to get going as well, is going to be an interesting thing for Kellen Moore to do. So that's what it comes down. But also, let's finish up. The key differences: overall rushing production, the Eagles were a top-tier rushing team, while the Saints were a middle-of-the-pack team. Impact of the top running back, Barkley had a truly exceptional season for the Eagles, contributing to a large portion of their total rushing yards. The Eagles scored significantly more rush towns than the Saints. In summary, the Eagles had much more production and So it's pretty much with the Super Bowl run that the Eagles had outside, offensively speaking. And we know Jalen Hurts had a decent year. It wasn't a knockdown, drag-out year. He was kind of banged up. He wasn't quite himself. He kind of got better late on in the season and this type of stuff, and it picked up for him. But while that was going on and they was trying to figure it out, there, from the passing perspective, the rushing attack was doing this type of stuff. So it's very possible that the Saints, with this line, this offensive line, we just had the unofficial depth chart on the screen, and you can see if the Saints can do something like we talked about the offensive line here. Kevin Banks Jr. At the left tackle, Penning or Dylan Reynolds, whoever wins it, McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, and Tali Fuaga is a interesting line, because pretty much that's all the first round draft picks, and as well as McCoy, who was a second round pick when he got drafted. But at the same time, like I said, very interesting line. I like that line, but we have to fortify more of it. We just too much inexperience in the backups behind our the top guys. You know, we know Dylan Reynolds is going to be there, whoever wins that job, if it's Trevor or whether it's Dylan Reynolds. But outside of that, Will Clapp at the center position, smart center, not as physical as McCoy, but is serviceable. Then, of course, Nick Saldiveri can't be counted on. He's never healthy. Landon Young, I just don't have any faith in Landon Young. He kind of flittered away the last couple of years of being here. Josh Ball, Easton Kilty, Kyle Hergel, Torricelli, Simpkins, and Josiah Zahim. These guys are unproven guys. They have talent, but they're unproven. So we'll see what that looks like going forward, because perhaps one of these men can step forward. But I do like my veterans. We had the free agent list about veterans or offensive linemen that's still available, and there's at least a couple of them that the Saints can bring in to help out in that respect, right? So very interesting. So the staple going into it, that's that I think it should be in terms of the running attack. Because like I said, you look at this, the Saints have done a pretty decent job of having talent to put around our young signal callers, whether it's Spencer or it's Tyler. The running back room is very good to think about. I mean, to be honest with you, with Akers being added to, Devin Neal, Kendre Miller, Elvin as the starter. Don't forget Clyde Edwards-Helaire is there. Very good. The wide receivers is also an interesting look. We know Bub Means looking to step up, Kevin Austin Jr. These guys are young guys that's looking to maybe be the second wave of wide receivers we need. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a guy that a lot of people are keeping a lookout to in the wide receiver room. And then Dante Pettis had a decent year insofar as him being seen. Mason Tipton fell off toward the end, but can he kind of redeem himself with his speed and that sort of thing? We'll see. But in the end, young offense, it does have talent. The tight end room is very interesting. Jawan Johnson getting a fat contract. We know Taysom's not going to be ready right away. We know Foster, they're saying training camp. Maliki Mutavo is an interesting player for them. Jack Stahl was a guy they picked up. Dalen Hawker, could he be ready to contribute? So the offense is a lot more inexperienced, right, than our defense. I ain't gonna tell you the same thing. If we were moving with the same impact or the same force that the defense is moving in, right, with those guys looking at veterans to help out there, bringing in people, this sort of thing, very interesting. So it could switch and change. We still have a lot of time. It's still 80-something games before we get to some of the moments of the offseason that started to build up to a crescendo to get ready for the fall season of football. So at the same time, man, we're gonna be we're gonna be maintaining and watching this whole thing, right? Gonna be very interesting. All right, let's keep it moving, fam. And we talked about the state of the quarterback position. Kellen Moore say he likes what he's seen between the guys. We do realize Spencer Rattler, like I made mention of it to start the broadcast off about Spencer Rattler being a guy that a lot of people see that he's ahead of Tyler Shuck. No surprise there. Like I said, this is a good position for Tyler to be in. Big quarterback. I like what I've seen from him playing, standing tall in the pocket. You know, we seen as Who Dats, we accustomed to seeing smaller quarterbacks. You know, Drew Brees was barely 6 feet tall. And some of these other guys we had. Now, of course, some of our veterans like Jameis was 6'3", this type of thing. But seeing a guy as tall as Tyler Shuck stand in the pocket at 6'5" and deliver the ball, you know, and he got a good arm, this type of thing, is very encouraging. I do love his temperament. He got a good temperament. But Spencer Rattler, is here to shake some stuff up. I'm just going to be honest with you. A lot of people, the new administration sees Tyler as the future right now because obviously his age and the grade where they drafted him at. But Spencer Rattler don't care about any of that. Spencer is coming and say, hey, man, listen, man, this is my opportunity and I'm going to take it. I'm not going to be like Jake Hayner. Hayner, this type of thing. And people seen him at first, and then he had opportunities last year and it just didn't look good. And then next thing you know, he's now the third string quarterback. And by next year, he's going to be the no string quarterback because he ain't going to be on the team. So, I mean, it's just one of those things you got to watch out for, man. When you get your opportunity, to shoot your shot, you take it. You take it, baby. Don't be hesitant about it. So Kellen Moore is in a good place with some of these young quarterbacks, man, to be quite honest with you. You kind of delve into it, and this is shout out to NOLA.com. They did a little assessment and breakdown on what they thought and their process of thinking dealing with what we just seen over the last couple of days of the minicamp. Their top assessment was the structure, tempo, drill work of practice have all looked different from recent years. The framework of the offense and defensive schemes completely new, which is also something that we talked about as well. And the nuance of having because we've had the 43 system for a while. We kind of flirted with the 34 system where the previous coach would say, we won't shift into a 3-4, but that never truly materialized. It was always, it wasn't even the 43 system, was the modified nickel look. And it's a similar system of 34 defense. And I'm pretty sure they have some modulation to what he's going to do as well. We're going to see that because we've seen what he did when he ran the San Diego stuff. But in the end, everything that changes is just the newness, the nuance of everything. The young quarterbacks, the all this kind of stuff, the shuffling of the offensive line, the moving from 43 to the 34 defense, the changing of certain players like Granderson and Chase Young to linebackers, right? The shaking up and addition of guys like Vernon Brockton in the draft and all these other young guys to come in to kind of help out with what they're doing. And you got guys like Brian Bresee ready to take the next step. So the 34 look, if you think about it and break it down, it does highlight a lot of these abilities of the Saints defensive players that they drafted, because these guys have the ability to play multiple positions as well as they have the skill set, the speed and aggression of what you would need to play in a 34 defense. So these are big guys as 300 pounders, but they don't move like 300 pounders. They move like they're 260 pounds or something like that. They move very well for 300 pounders. And that's what you need for that. Vernon Brockton has that skill set. We know we've seen it with Brian Bresee, and it's going to be fun watching these guys do what they do. But the article says whether it means good, it's up in the air. New Orleans also certainly will go into the 2025 season with lower outside expectation that it has done in some time. And we realize that, so it's an easiness to a degree of just sitting back and watching the Saints develop into what they're supposed to be. Now, if we have the having an inexperienced quarterback means something, because they're going to have to learn. We understand that. We as the Who Dat Nation expect you to, if you have an inexperienced player, they got to learn. We understand that. We can tolerate that, but we don't want bad football. Now, you might make some mistakes, but you make mistakes and learn. You make mistakes and grow. If you're making mistakes, that's one thing, but you still supposed to be able to, as a responsible team that's looking to improve, not only just learn from your mistakes, but also your energy, your effort in this endeavor. Like you fighting your ass off, you might just not know, but you still in there competing or giving a hellified effort. If we could tolerate that, this path, I know it was time. We realized that you can't continue to just win forever or whatever the case may be. You got to be realistic in your approach. And I think organically what happened here was things fell where they were supposed to fail, not because of planning, because the way it just was a unique cycle events that happened with the veteran quarterback getting out the way, getting these young guys an opportunity to play. And the Saints are saying, you know what, and the new regime saying, let's rock with these young guys and see what they can do, because we can get this straight this way. Pressure's off to a degree. Let's go ahead on and press on them, see what we can get out of them. But in this one, it says, but this isn't change for change's sake. The early reviews are overwhelmingly positive. Even the new sports science staff held by Ted Rath has earned praise from the team, which is a big thing. We talk about the health of the Saints and what they need to do in terms of fixing that. Hopefully that can fly toward the Pelican side of things, right? Arm talent isn't a problem. The Saints will have a new starting quarterback in 2025, which frankly is a big reason expectations are lower league-wide. We spent plenty of time going through the lack of experience at the position, but here's a refresher. The 4 quarterbacks have started a total of 7 games, winning 0, and a combined 5 touchdown passes and 6 picks. They're not proven, but based on what we saw this summer, whoever wins the competition won't lack for throwing talent. Absolutely not. There's not a takeaway from the 7-on-7 drills, but pure throwing ability is one of the few things that is translatable. And both rookie Tyler Shough and 2024 fifth rounder Spencer Rattler have displayed some tantalizing throws as well. Shough's arm strength has popped several times when he's made tough throws to the sideline that require a quarterback to drive the ball and beat the defender to the spot. They're some of the most difficult plays for an NFL quarterback to make, and if he wins the job, Moore should feel comfortable letting his rookie attack the entire field. Rattler's strong suits as a thrower look different from Tyler's, but they're still impressive. He's shown a willingness to rip the ball over the middle while also being able to layer second-level throws, and that's something that we've seen Spencer Rattler got better at, right? That's something that he knew had to be, because if you're in an NFL and you know from a standpoint of playing in college versus the NFL, the biggest thing that they talk about is the speed of the game, how fast the closing speed is on these defenders. Like you thinking when you're in college and you put that ball, that you rip that ball right there, that should be enough time for your wide receiver to get it before you see the defensive back see it and try to break on it. In the NFL, it's totally different. That wouldn't work in the end. It won't work in college. So that they have to get used to that understanding that guys are a lot faster and smarter in the pros, and sometimes that gets you in trouble. All right, so let's keep it going, man, on this thing here. Let's keep it pressing. Shout out to y'all. Y'all hit the like button for me. All right, what we've learned. A 2-man race at the QB position. Carr announced his retirement. Moore stood behind the microphone and announced his intentions to have his 3 young quarterbacks compete for the starting job in training camp, including third-year player Jake Haener. Maybe that's still in the cards, but an oblique injury prevented Haener from competing in organized team activities. He was back on the field for minicamp, and the Saints certainly could have been forcing him to take it easy by limiting his reps in those position drills. But he says this felt like a 2-man competition, because it is. Shough and Rattler have the jump, and nothing that has happened since has changed that. Even when Haener's ready to fully compete, he will feel well behind the other two, and because he really doesn't. And we know that Kellen Moore is going to say that. It's an open quarterback battle, but for people that knows unless it changes between Spencer and Tyler, being that somebody gets, God forbid, injured or something like that, which would allow the third quarterback into the competition. Right now, it's a 2-man thing. We knew that. So it does feel, it says Shough would have seemed to have the edge simply because he was drafted 40th overall by his coaching staff, but Rattler has shown some nice traits in the limited work the quarterbacks have done so far. Now, we've heard that. I also heard that people think that Rattler is ahead of Tyler Shough. The mere mention of the fact that he was drafted 40th overall is not going to get you the job. Now, we know they will want it to play out that way because it would make the current administration look smart that the guy that they picked in the second round at 40th is ready to go, that he won the competition outright, this type of thing. Well, that's Spencer Rattler is going to fight for that job. He's not here to be a backup to Tyler Shough. This is just what it's going to be, and it'll be fun watching this. All right, to be determined. Will the trenches be better? The New Orleans invested in offense and defensive fronts this offseason, using 2 of the top 3 picks on linemen, Kelvin Banks Jr. at number 9, Vernon Brockton at number 71, and then trading for nose tackle Devon Gulcho and committing big money to bring back edge rusher Chase Young. Will that be enough to turn things around in 2025. Way too soon to tell. 0 competitive periods pitting the offense and defensive lines against each other, and Moore has reiterated throughout the summer that it's hard to get a read on where the lines are without full contact. The Saints should be improved on both sides of the ball, but right tackle Tali Fuaga and left guard Penning are probably at their more natural positions. And if Banks hits, the Saints should improve a 1-5 or 1-5 on offensive line. Gacho should fortify a defensive interior that was awful against the run last year, and Young and Carl Granderson might unlock new production as stand-up rushers in the defensive coordinator Brandon Staley's scheme. Time will tell whether he improve in practice. I got to say, if you watch some of the footage of Carl Granderson and Chase Young, how he's moving around, making plays and doing the things that he's doing, I think that the reformation has lit a spark in Chase Young. And you talk about it, they both have the athletic ability to do that. So it's going to be fun watching them. Now, our brother Devon that they traded for from New England, that's going to be a very big move for the Saints, because number one, he should be the starting nose tackle there for Coach Staley's system. And he's not a big name player. Now, he played at LSU, but this is the thing. And what I've made mention of this before, that a lot of people are kind of overlooking this guy. I caution you not to overlook him at all. If you go and watch the tape, especially just in particular, the New England tape that he produced just last year, you can go back a little further if you like, but this year, just to keep it simple, how he played, how many snaps he played. He was always on the field. He commanded the double team. You know, he has a constant motor, and he's available. He doesn't miss many games. High motor, strong, violent player that's consistent, that loves playing that position, that nose tackle position. Because if you're that guy in the 34 defense on the line, and like we talk about the linebacker look, but the 3 up front linemen, that's huge. Those guys have to be incredibly disruptive, especially the nose tackle. The nose tackle cannot be single block. He must command a double team all the time. All the time. He has to command a double team. And if you go and watch the tape on him, you'll realize the reason why the Saints traded for him. So it's going to be very interesting. We don't often talk about that, but I'm going to just keep it honest and real with you, fam. That was a hell of a pickup, to be honest with you. All right. Thank you, Marvin. Says Q, how long will it take for you to play our video cleanup with this team? You said the cleanup out of I don't know, Marvin. Hell, we don't have to wait for the team to be bad to play it, man. We can play it right now.
Call me Santa Fran, but I'm the cleanup man.
The cleanup man. He'll sweep your girlfriend off her feet. The reason I know so much about him is because he's moved up an old girl of mine.
Swept her right off her feet and into the jag.
Y'all seen Zion boogieing, boy? Zion was boogieing up in there, boy. Zion had the not the Versace, but the Sasashi. He was doing the thing, boy. Zion was cutting the rug on that one. All right, shout out to you, Marvin. Thank you, bro.
Thank you very much. Picking me up and bringing me back to this world.
All right, shout out to Pammy, man. My girl Pammy Whammy. Shout out to the queen. She in the building. Member for 34 months.
Thank you very much. Picking me up and bringing me back to this world.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's pretty good, man. See, Marvin, we don't have to wait for the Saints to be bad to play the cleanup, man. We play that anytime we want, my brother. So it's oh, man. All right, so anyway, fam, let's get back to the article right here that they talk about additional pieces right here. The Saints have approximately $29 million in cap space. The number will dip slightly when Tyler Shuck signs his rookie contract, but it still gives New Orleans plenty of room to operate if they want to. have some veteran additions. The team is interested in upgrading parts of its roster, as evidenced by some of the visits they recently set up with free agents such as Gabe Davis, cornerback Ashanti Samuel. They just signed running back Cam Akers on Friday. And there are some big names on the free agent market, though the Saints' chances of landing someone like a receiver Keenan Allen or a pass rusher like Zadarius Smith probably aren't great if they're competing against a team that is seen as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. It seems more likely the Saints will try to find buy a low player or two to give them a chance to reset the market next year without eating too much cap space. The Saints could roll it into 2026. So just to address some of that, the Gabe Davis thing, letting you know, the Akers signing to fortify the running back room is big because the Saints will have to lean on the running attack. That's why the Cam Akers thing should be looked at as not big news, but a very solid signing, to be honest with you. He's not a feature back, but in confab with the Kamara, Kendre, Devin Neal, Clyde Edwards-Helaire could make a very good running room. And based on it in the imagination of Kellen Moore, which he has a young, innovative mind, offensively speaking, you could use these backs, because if you look at the running backs that they have in the running back room, those guys are not just, regular backs. You can use them in different ways in your offense. Hell, some of those guys could be placed as wide receivers. Like I said, it's just a very imaginative room of the top four guys. So that's interesting. The Gabe Davis thing. Gabe Davis is a guy with good speed. He catches the ball. That would be a solid signing if they did make Gabe Davis there. But Keenan, it could be seen as Keenan Allen is a guy that's still out there on the block. Last time I checked, I don't think he signed with anybody, but his ties to Kellen Moore, could this be something that, the Saints could have? So it just showed you them looking at Gabe Davis and Ashanti Samuel, meaning as we get down to the big camp, we're going to see more of this type of stuff happen. So the Saints definitely need some more help in the wide receiver room and the cornerback room, if you ask me. So anyway, that's a good game right there. Shout out to Tom Picayune for what they did on that. And, of course, let's keep it moving on the Chris Olave thing. Chris Olave set the record straight on the Saints trade rumors. Shout out to Kyle T. Mosley, the Saints News Network. We've seen some of this with what Chris Olave was saying over the course of all season. Saints, the trade scenario of him popped up, and I was kind of putting it down. I was kind of pouring cold water on it because, to me, unless the man was demanding to be traded, it made no sense for his name to keep popping up in trade demands. And you see what I'm saying? And from what I know, Chris Olave didn't want to go nowhere. And you heard what he said, that he wants to be here for, what he said, forever or for a long time, something to that degree. Because if you get the proper wide receiver, like the Saints had the right idea. Getting Chris Olave and giving them the slot man, Rashid Shaheed, those guys are phenomenal together. But you do need a big physical wide receiver to complement those guys. We need to put them in their proper roles. We can't have them out of roles. I do appreciate the fact that the Saints are going for a speed look, because there's many different applications that you can use with all this speed. If you got Brandon, if you got Cooks, if you got Rashid Shaheed, you got Chris Olave, you got bigger wide receivers. Perhaps the Saints see one of these unsung wide receivers as guys that eventually will become something. But you go and look at Gabe Davis, let me know that you ain't done looking at wide receivers. Could Gabe Davis be a guy that could be here? He could be a big help. How about Keenan or whatever? There are others out there, but we're going to see what they're doing. But as far as Olave is concerned, we take a look at his numbers. He shouldn't go nowhere. And they asked him about the concussions, all this stuff. And I had to keep telling people, I'm like, hey, listen, nobody go out here and go to the concussion store and buy it. It just doesn't work like that. It just it's unfortunate. But guys hitting him in his helmet, the one where the ball sailed and he got put on the stretcher when he went for the ball, that's just a learning lesson. Now when you see safeties in the area and that ball's thrown out, you got 3 safeties, and let that ball go, man. Let it go. Don't put yourself. And I'm pretty sure he learned the lesson to let that go. But the concussion thing, you can't help that. You can't. None of them can. And it's not just Chris Olave, but there players at every position get concussions. Hell, the damn kickers get concussions sometimes. Everybody gets concussed if you hit them in the helmet the right way. So in terms of the health staff, they would have to do them the right way and say, okay, we got to shut you down, this type of thing. But how do you stop the concussion? How you stop players from getting concussed if a guy gonna hit another guy in the helmet? Sometimes you inadvertently catch the ball and dip your head down and the guy right into the helmet of another guy. Some guys looking for it, some guys aren't. But there's no way for you to prevent that unless they have some padded helmet. Now, in terms of wearing the rubber foam or whatever it is that they encase on the helmet, I know we've seen several players have this helmet skin. Y'all seen it before? Put one in the chat if you've seen the helmet skin where you pull it down. You see it during the practice. It's not this old looking rubbery thing, but it looks more because you see the practice one, right, where it's brown and you just put it on there. But there's a actual game day edition one where you kind of put it over the helmet and it, you can see something on top of the helmet, and that's supposed to reduce, the blow to the head. But they're supposed to still be working on concussion helmets. I don't know what the NFL is doing. Maybe the helmets are expensive or whatever the case is, but they are supposed to be working on concussion-proof helmets. That's a huge market that they're supposed to be investigating. But if I was Chris Olave and this was a phenomenon that kept happening to me, I would definitely invest in one of those things. I'd put 2 of them on top of that son bitch. It'd be looking crazy. Be looking like a spinning top, but at the end of the day, man, ain't nothing touching you. So I mean, you can't help that. You just got to do the best you can do to protect yourself, because sometimes you're not looking for it and it just happens. But his numbers are phenomenal, man. We know that. Without that, man, I think he's been their best wide receiver since they've been here outside of having with Michael Thomas when he was doing this thing before he started repeatedly getting hurt, right? Repetitiously getting hurt. But this is what they were saying about him as some wild speculation about the possibility of moving Olave this offseason made no sense. He's talented, but coming off a season in which he played 8 games. Why trade him when his value would technically be at this lowest? Plus, why trade your young playmaking option? Only way you trade him if the guy is a locker room cancer, right? Or he simply doesn't want to be here and he wants out. Then you, of course, find the proper place to send him in something to get back for the player. That's not Chris Olave. We've not had any problems off field from Chris Olave except for the time he was caught speeding. He got arrested for speeding. And that was because of a couple of years ago when he got into it with Derek Carr and all this craziness was going on with Dennis Allen. And players was just acting out over frustration because they're used to winning and they're just not winning. It's not even being an outlet for them to be able to kind of vent off, so to speak. So the frustration was there, but he's not a guy that's even a off court or off field issue type person. He's not a bad news type player. Olave's, he says, on being involved in trades, it's all rumors, man. Everybody trying to have something for clicks. I love it here, man. I love the front office. I love my coaches. I'm excited to be here, and I want to be here forever, right? This is where I want to be. This is what he says, forever. Who talks like that? Man, want to be a Saint. He's not going anywhere. Expect to see him on the field week 1 against the Arizona Cardinals. So, indeed, the whole thing with Chris Olave, like I said, Q, what about this, that, and the third, with his contract is coming up. The Saints not worrying about that. Chris Olave wants to sign with the Saints. The Saints will give him a contract. Saints ain't tripping on that money. Even when they didn't have it, they wasn't tripping on it. Now that they get a lot of money back from the Derek Carr debacle, they're not tripping on that money, fam. They'll give Chris Olave that contract. Like I said, you got to make sure we have our players in the proper roles, too. That's another thing that we got to focus on as well. All right, so anyway, fam, that's what I got, man, right there, man. Shout out to y'all, man. And of course, man, let me play a little of Kellen more. This is from him, a couple of days ago. He was kind of talking about minicamp and his thoughts on minicamp. I ain't going to play all of this, but y'all feel free to get your questions ready. If you got any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll answer them. Here's Kellen Moore.
Before golf and spent some time as a team, so it's been awesome. Kellen, can you just tell us everything you felt like you were able to accomplish during this offseason, and also how important it was to intersperse some of these outings with it to kind of get the guys those team bonding experiences away from the field?
Yeah, I think it's really important to build on a solid foundation. And so that foundation is really built around people first and foremost. And so we certainly spent a lot of this time trying to find different avenues and opportunities for all of us to connect and spend time, whether it be an outing of paintball or golf or a community service event, all the other things that they do in between that. We spent a lot of time investing in that, and I think that's really, really important as you build a team. You got to connect everyone, and so we started there. Built a really good foundation in the weight room. I thought Ted and that group did a phenomenal job of just building on a really good foundation of just creating really good habits in there. They worked their tails off, and I feel like we saw a lot of growth in the weight room from a lot of our guys, whether it be from a weight training or a speed proponent. There's a lot of different growth there, and so that was really good. And then once we got to the football aspect in phase two, it's really about building a foundation from a schematic standpoint and really focusing on the fundamentals, the details, and building the sound foundation for us from a scheme perspective. And so I feel like we're there. And, the main objective moving forward is to just continue to keep growing and keep building through training camp.
So, Kellen, to be clear,
how was Hunter the choice for the three?
Jawan was the offensive captain. And he chose Hunter. And so after we had a little offense versus defense 3-point challenge, the offense won, and we doubled the ante and gave Hunter a shot. If he made it, practice was over. So he made it. He had confidence. He let it go. And he's got a little high school basketball in his background, so no one was surprised.
So if he had missed, you would have just practiced as normal?
There might have been a few more shot opportunities, hopefully. I'm really glad it was the first guy that made it, and we didn't even have to go down that road.
And Kellen, what can you say you've learned about your team so far?
I think it's a really connected team. They work really, really hard. And I think that's one of the big aspects of this is we're creating habits during the offseason. Schematically, some of what you can do during the OTAs has some limitations, and that's okay. We're building on a really good foundation. I think our habits are where we want them.
Kellen, as you balance the team building and the bonding off the field versus what's going on the field, like would today have been a day off no matter what, or is it just because you felt so good about how things have gone to this point that you felt like you could do this, or is that all equal pieces of the puzzle?
We felt as our offseason program progressed that we were really doing. I thought our players were just doing an outstanding job of what they were doing, their workload, their ability to compete, and so as it went, certainly we felt like this. As long as it stayed in the same trend line, this is going to be a great opportunity for us just to finish off camp this way.
Look, Kellen, the collective bargaining agreement obviously limits what you can do in practice time. Does that make it difficult? I mean, is it a hard decision to give up one of those practice times?
No, I think a lot of teams, I don't think we're one of the unique teams. I think there's a number of teams that kind of provide these different opportunities for teams. There's a lot of different ways you can view. Obviously there's the football aspect of the offseason, which is very important. There's the weight room aspect, and then there's the connection. And once we get to training camp, there's a lot of physical work ahead. But these are always great opportunities for us just to connect.
It's interesting, man, because like I said, man, originally I wasn't really that much impressed with Kellen Moore, but I did respect how his offense ran with Philly. I do realize that the things that I wanted the Saints to do in terms of like just being one of those teams that run that football, like Philly ran the hell out of the ball. Not only did they run the ball, they dominated teams with the run. They dominated teams. Of course, Barkley had the 2,000 plus yards. But that offensive line, if y'all go back and remember watching some of the Philly games, that offensive line just decimated the defensive lines of whoever they were playing. Those big offensive linemen were literally just pushing and pancaking and throwing and all this kind of stuff. They just flattened many of the defensive lines they played. And when they got going, it was unbelievable. The really interesting part is the Saints have the horses to pull it off. The front five guys are intriguing. The Trevor Penning is the question mark. We know y'all heard my thought process on Cesar Ruiz. I think Cesar Ruiz should be a lot better than what he is. So maybe the offensive line coach we have here can finally get him to that level. Because I think he should be at least a level or two better than what he is currently. He should be on the line of being a Pro Bowl guard for the Saints. That's how good he should be. But Penning is a guy the Saints had, tried at left and right. Now he at guard now, and this is it for him. He has to figure it out and make it work. He'll be competing with Dylan Runnels to figure it out. So that's going to be another interesting part about it as well. about, who wins that little battle between Runnels and Trevor Penning. That'll be interesting. But in the end, having that running attack and having a guy like Alvin Kamara and finally, and it's a big if. The if is Kendre Miller, right? We know Kendre Miller. We've seen it in minute example, right? We've seen what he did late, not last year, but the year before that, late in the year, when he was running the ball, and it didn't seem like a lot of the running backs was getting traction. But when they put Kendre Miller in there, one of his gifts was to make the first tackler miss. He got a mean step, that off step that makes the first tackler miss and for him to get to the second guy. And he does that really well. But we haven't seen enough from him. We've seen him in college, what he was able to do, but we need to see that this year. We need to see a souped up Kendre Miller. Could you imagine if he is, he plays half of what we think the potential that he can live up to be in concert with Alvin Kamara? Like that's that north-south back. And even if the Saints can't count on Kendre Miller, there's Devin Neal there who can do that. He's not as big as Kendre Miller, but he can run inside, outside. He has speed. He can catch the ball out the backfield. The guy's a winner. And plus, Clyde Edwards-Helaire has versatility to his game. So the Saints respectfully and confidently operate a multi-running back room where they be able to cycle these guys in and out to the offense and be able to keep the running attack going like we would need it to be and not put all of the pressure on top of the young signal callers. Could they do that? Be interesting to find out, man. And like I said, this is a rookie head coach right here. This is his first go at it. So we know he got he got inexperienced quarterbacks here. So it's not going to be easy right away. Now, we've seen, like in recent memory, guys, coaches come in and the team is the proper fit. They do what they're supposed to do. The identity of the team meshes instantaneously, and then they just take off. We've seen that happen before. Is that going to be the Saints? There's no way to know for certain until we start going through that. What's up, Black Major? Shout out to y'all, man. Good to see y'all in the chat as well. Big Ups fan. What's up, Tasha? Shout out to Tasha and happy Father's Day to all the kings and queens out there. I see y'all out there. Much love, man. I had to talk at y'all today. All right. Much love. Let's hear a little bit for him, and I answer some questions after.
How would you evaluate the quarterback competition so far now that you've had the OTAs and minicamp to evaluate it?
Yeah, I like where those guys are heading. A lot of the quarterback process during the OTA phase, I think, is really focused on their command and their control, their ability to call the play, take control at the line of scrimmage. I thought all those guys get a check there. They did a really good job. You see them make the throws that you need to make. They certainly made those plays, and I think their preparation has been really good. And so obviously the execution, just the consistency, is going to be the big aspect as we continue to grow this thing. But I think you really feel really good about where all these guys are at.
Kellen, have you given any more thought as to how you want training camp structured? And if y'all went to California outside of joint practices, like how long y'all would want to go?
Yes. So we'll start obviously in New Orleans, in Metairie, specifically at our facility. And so we're really excited about that. We'll be, home. We'll get into that routine. It'll be really, really good. We will go to California, kind of tied around our Chargers preseason game. And so we'll be there August 6th through August 15th for a small window. Just, I think more importantly, it's a really good opportunity for us just to change, put the guys in a little bit of a different environment. Those guys will spend a lot of time together naturally when you kind of go on a longer road trip. And so we feel like that's a great opportunity for our team to continue to connect. We'll change the environment. And then after that game, we'll be back for 2 preseason games and more practices back here in Louisiana. So we feel great about the opportunity that's going to provide.
Yeah, and like I said, man, this is going to be a little different for us this year. Like I'm not expecting the Saints to, I picked them to win a bunch of games, because it's not rocket science to me. Like for instance, I mean, I don't think the recipe will be completed, but I see what he's doing. Building alliance. That's the first thing we talked about when the man first took the job. I'm like, you look at the statistics, study the film. The Saints lines weren't consistent. We had good play the first couple of weeks, and then it fell apart. We had bad depth behind it. The offensive line was the depth, the drop off in talent from the starters to the backups was so bad, man. And like I said, most of these guys, they weren't even prepared. They didn't even look like they practiced. They didn't know the plays. They were confused. And it's just all the practicing supposed to cut a lot of that out to a great degree. But, you know, when you had the older guys there and you're operating with the window, then you obviously thinking, okay, the Saints have to seize on the window, and we ain't just come up with this in the field somewhere hyperventilating. This was something that the team and the ownership told you, and particularly Mickey Loomis was saying, we're going to do this and that. So they were letting all of this out. So the pressure was on for the Saints to turn whatever they were doing into playoffs, because they ain't been in the playoffs for 4 damn years. You had all these old players, so we're not paying old players to not miss the playoffs. You're having these old ass players here because you're trying to compete. You're supposed to be winning NFC South, this type of stuff. It's not the same feel now. Now we expect them to still win and be competitive, but at the same time, rookie head coach, young signal callers, we know it'll be a process. But that does not mean that it's supposed to be a bunch of bad football, you know. You know, the effort is everything. Yeah, Gundam Cleanup Man, it's an actual song. It's by Willie D. Willie D used to be, well, you know, the ghetto boy, Willie D. If you put in YouTube or put in Google, Willie D Cleanup Man, it should pop up. It should pop up. It's a very funny video, man. It's very funny to me, you know, to go back and watch it. All right, what's up, Randy? Shout out says, did you see the Cambosis? And yes, I watched that fight. Yes, I did, bro. And I was very impressed with Richardson Hitchens. He decimated George Cambosis. Ferocious Cambosis, they call him, but nothing was ferocious. He took all of the fight out of him. Then he called out Devin Haney and then Teofimo Lopez, all this kind of stuff. Very good fight. Hitchens is a good fighter. Looking forward for him having much better fights. It was a really good fight, bro. All right, appreciate you. All right, yeah. Chris, Uncle Paulie says Chris Olave has to stay healthy to have a big season. He got to get it done. Indeed, bro. Indeed. JT, what's up, brother? Good to see JT in the building as well. Shout out to you, bro. All right, Tangeray says we can become a wild card team if we stay healthy and consistent all season long. Perhaps everything's possible, right? Yes, indeed. I mean, if the running attack, that's the keys to success to not just us, but any NFL team, is that if you could run the football consistently and stop the run and don't shoot yourself in the foot with turnovers and get them to turn the ball over and shorten fields for your offense, that's a recipe for you winning games to get you where you belong. That's what it comes down to. But also, this is not a total young team. You know, we still got Tyrann Mathieu, Cam Jordan, Demario Davis on defense, and we got young people on offense. Now, how do we subvert, or how do we get past having young signal quarters or inexperienced guys at the key position of the football team? How do we get past that if there is a way? Well, the answer is the running attack. You got to run the ball and play defense. Special teams getting positions to kick field goals, they got to hit them. Also, the long game insofar as the punting situation, which that was interesting, that undrafted punter that we picked up out of Alabama is probably going to win the job over that Australian man. What's his name? He probably going to end up winning the job, barring injury. But I think that's also something a lot of people ain't. We know Blake Grupe is going to be good, but James Burnip, you know, who a lot of people thought Burnip should have been drafted, and the Saints picked up James Burnip from Alabama, and he will battle Matt Hayball for that position, and Burnip probably will win that job. I mean, it's just the guy with his punt situation. That's like best in all of college last year. In the country last year, he was punting the ball. Incredible hang time on the punts. You know, they can't even return the damn thing because the special, you know, the coverage teams get to the returner so quick, ain't nothing he can do with it. He's good at directional punting. That's huge for the Saints. So you have Group A, you could have potentially James Burnip, and then you look at the defense with the veterans. You have the Cams and the Demarios, the Tyrann Mathieu, the Justin Fields. I mean, not Justin Fields, Justin Reeds. Those guys on defense help big time, right? So we looking at that and we're saying we run the ball, veterans on defense, right? In the money spots, solid special teams, Saints could win some games. So the onus is really offensive, right? We just looking at the inexperience of the quarterback position. But if you look at the team, the Saints have veterans where they belong. They have them in the wide receiver room. They got them in the tight end room. They got them on the offensive line. You got one rookie, which is Kelvin Banks Jr., and Tolly's in his second year. But, I think Banks Jr. will be fine. But outside of that, look at the running back room. Solid guys in there, solid guys in the tight end positions, wide receivers there. You're going to add another wide receiver like you added a running back. You should add some more offensive linemen, some veterans before the big camp starts. You'll have, those type of guys. So, like, what I'm saying is that's the only way you get around it, right? Running the ball, and then, of course, not shooting yourself in the foot with turnovers. That's also another thing we can't do. All right, yes. Zion, what's up? Zion says, look at the O-line on that Saquon run. It gets forgotten, but they open. Yeah, I know. That's what I was looking. You're right, bro. That offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles that Kellen Moore ran, and he got TJ Pagnetti, who's the run game coordinator. And if you're a coach that's got it up here, you small, you got up here, that you can't rely on those inexperienced signal callers. You got to rely every bit on your running attack. So bringing in and signing Cam Akers, and he plays with Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller and Devin Neal and Clyde Edwards-Helaire and all these other guys. Man, listen, you got to fortify the line. You got to get back to business. You got to get into the play action. And this could be this could be the biggest season Alvin Kamara's ever had as a runner. This man on the screen probably could possibly do what we didn't see the previous guy do, is unlock Alvin Kamara in a way where his running put him becoming like having that 1,500 yard rushing season with, the scrimmage yards off the chain, a rushing attack, multiple double-digit rushing touchdowns. Could Kellen Moore unlock Alvin Kamara in a way where we see the running back? We seen what he do in his scrimmage situation where you can, the running and the passing. But in terms of the running aspect of just being a running back, could this guy unlock him? This could be huge for Alvin Kamara. If I was Alvin Kamara, I'd be very excited about the potential of what Kellen Moore has in store, right? What's up, Tuck? Shout out to Tuck. Big ups to you. Good to see you, Tuck. Much love. Appreciate you for being in the building. All right. Shout out to the fam, man. All right. We got the questions there. Yeah, Pammy said the trenches are so important. Indeed, we got to do some stuff here. Yeah, so I mean, like I said, man, at the end of the day, we're gonna be all right. Sis, then we can be a wild card team, stay healthy, health's a part of it, but still in all, I think you can't truly count on that, right? Because we've seen what the Saints look like the last 4 seasons, because every year they seem to get hurt some form of fashion. So the only insurance policy you have to protect against injury is having a deep depth chart, fortifying the offensive line, because, hey, listen, we can't play with this line this year. The line has to run block. So we can't have inexperienced guys backing up the starters. We got to have some veterans in there to know what they got to do. Or if the young players are going to be there, they got to be able to be about the business. We got to be about the business. We can't have guys in there get up in there and don't know what to do. It's just the running attack is just too important, right? All right, what's up? All right, yeah, thank you, Tuck. Shout out to you. What's up, Ro? Shout out to Ro. Much love, fam. Appreciate you. What's up, Muse? Shout out to Muse. Good to see you in the chat as well, Queen. If y'all got any questions, please feel free to throw them in the building. Throw them in the chat. Here go, Kellen.
Will you guys go back to Irvine for the part that's not the Chargers?
Yes. Yeah, and for all that, we have a preseason game with the Chargers, but other than that, we'll be practicing, similar to last year's routine at UCI.
But then the Chargers also have a facility, so will you guys go over there, or are they coming to?
We're just doing the preseason game with those guys. So
okay, so there's not any joint practices. Got it.
Yep.
Is there anything you want your players to take through this stretch? Being prepared, keeping in shape, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in our team meeting today. Just as far as you just got to keep building. I think that's the biggest thing is there's certainly growth opportunities throughout this entire summer. You want to recharge. You want to get to have the opportunity to spend some family time and all the good things that come with a little bit of a summer break. But from a physical standpoint, these guys got to keep building, keep getting better. They got to spend some time from a football perspective preparing themselves so that when we hit training camp, we're just continuing to build. We're not going back to step one and rebuilding this thing from the beginning of OTAs. We are continuing to build, and that's when you got to take big leaps and bounds when you continue to grow each and every day.
Kellen, you get a chance to enjoy some of this too, or are you going to be so locked in on just trying to continue what you've already started?
For the summer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, definitely. I haven't had much of a break, from last season to this season so far, and so looking forward to a little bit of family time. Obviously, it'll be good for us just to recharge as a family and spend a few days and have a few trips here and there.
Kellen, this might be a dumb question, but I was just curious from watching. Is there like strategy behind choosing not to wear helmets during all your walkthrough sessions?
Part of that is just to avoid the physical components, because naturally when you have a helmet on, there's a comfort level in the physicality that I can maybe do things that we don't need in those settings. And so we just take the helmets off just to create an environment that, make sure everyone's on the same page, that it's a teaching phase as opposed to a competitive phase.
It also does a good job of cutting them concussions down too, just in accidental helmet to head button, right?
Chuck the other day was saying how part of the reason he's comfortable in a competition like this is because, he's been through it in college a lot. I was wondering if you could kind of tell that, like, what have you noticed from his poise and how he's approaching this thing?
Yeah, I would say for all of our quarterbacks, they've all been through adversity in some way, and so that's one of the attractive pieces to all of these guys is they face some adversity, they face some competition, they've had to deal with the ups and downs of those circumstances through their college careers, and so all four of them have been in those situations, and I think that's a real positive that they know how to handle these situations. And hey, everyone wants to play, everyone wants to be out there on Sundays as a starting quarterback in the NFL. That's every quarterback's goal and dream, and that should be it. Ultimately, one's going to play. These guys understand that aspect of it, but I love the interaction that these guys are all in it together. They're helping each other, they're coaching each other, they're talking through it. Those things just add up to a really special group.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It's a good energy with the team here. And we know that Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler are not, even though they're competing for the same job, they're very respectful of each other. So I mean, that's a good thing as well. And of course, when you if you teaching somebody something, what you teaching them, the process of you teaching them helps it reinforce it. It reinforces it in you as well. So the teaching process not only helps the teacher, but it also helps the student. So I mean, this is a very positive thing, no matter how you look at it in terms of the quarterback position. And I just think that will be pretty cool watching that whole thing play out the way it's going to be. So anyway, man, that's going to cut it in for the show, man. Listen, man, I appreciate y'all for stopping by on this one, man. But listen, a big part of it for the Black and Gold, success for the Black and Gold going into the 26 season is the fact that the New Orleans Saints have to be able to run the ball and play defense, force turnovers, and have solid special teams play to kind of absorb the inexperience of the quarterback position, whether it's Spencer or Tyler operating there. So this is what it simply is. The fact that the schedule is also very agreeable toward the Saints, and the fact that the Saints doesn't have any cold games. Late on in the year, I think the coldest game they got is going to Tennessee to play Cam Ward now. So I mean, the bye week is positioned correctly. So I mean, the schedule is incredibly agreeable for the Saints, and the added benefit of people picking the Saints to be the worst team in the NFL totally takes the pressure off from a national standpoint of what the Saints are supposed to be and do. So they can simply grow organically as opposed to be, trying to force something that's not sustainable. So in the end, it's all a positive, because this is where you're supposed to be anyway, and you're going to steal some wins for people who think you like that. And I'm going to tell you, the Saints going to sucker punch the hell out of most of these people that think the Saints are a bad team. When Staley's defense gets together, that Staley defense is going to be mean, man. The Saints know that. The running attack, investing in the running back room and adding to the defense. The Saints added people to the defensive line. They added reinforcement for the older players we have, and they're still looking for help in the secondary. The Justin Reed signing was off the chain. They're going to improve the special teams. So solid play from the defense. That Staley defense is going to be rock 'em sock 'em type action. You know, like I said, Saints going to sucker punch the hell out of a lot of teams thinking they bad. This, like I said, this is going to be interesting, man. But it's going to be a very laid back season in terms of the Saints, man. So, man, we're going to sit here and watch it go, right? All right, so anyway, with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. Listen, first and foremost, one more time, I'd like to give a shout-out to all. What's up, Cap, man? And shout-out to you, fam. It says, Kellen giving away the sauce. Be careful, you know. It's a copycat league. Yeah, even though they know, you got to still be able to stop them. Like some people know, you can know what I'm going to do. If I say I'm going to run over there, you still got to stop me. And knowing what I'm doing is what I'm going to do is half the battle, right? The other half is, you know, even though you know you're going to run over there or throw over there, you still got to be able to stop me from doing it. So anyway, one more time, I'm going to give a round of applause to all of our people out there. Happy Father's Day. Salute. Happy Father's Day to all of my family members out there in the Great Saint Think Tank and the mighty Who Dat Nation, man. Glad to talk to y'all on this show. We'll return on Monday, man, to kind of get at you guys some more, man, and talk about some more news, man, and Notes in the Black and Gold Nation. So with that being said, I'm going to get out on that. I appreciate y'all. Y'all keep your heads up. Have a fantastic start of y'all week. Much love and Who Dat to you. Peace.
Yeah. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Long as I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, yeah, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like Benson, I'm a Who Dat. I'm a Who Dat. Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that. Welcome. Somebody please better help. Running this thing like Elf. I thank God every day I'm not a felt. Go to YouTube Live with Big Q and the guys. If you ain't ride or die, the bandwagon get flipped. Been marching in, that was way for the ring. I was yelling out your shame for the championship. Bucking on town, duck down. Falcons, pluck, get shut down. Panthers ain't much touchdown. The vision really belong to us now. So much hate on the Saints, you could probably tell. Ever since Bounty Gate hit the NFL, when things seem fishy and you probably smell the crooked referees on Roger Goodell. Yeah, probably like this and I'm a Who Dat. Every day I'm living, I'm a Who Dat. Lose or winning, I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. Where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that, where we do that. Boogie like this and I'm a Who Dat. It's the Sports Coma, this is where we do that. You're listening to the Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys on the PRO Media Network.
WhoThatDaily.com. That's right, the WhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who Dat and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, WhoThatDaily.com is your site. The WhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who Dat in all of us. That's That's right, the Pro Shop is the platform's store where you can go and buy all the latest merch to support the platform. Available at the Pro Shops, we have dozens of hundreds of products available for you and your family. Unisex tees for men and women, hoodies and sweatshirts, tank tops, kids and baby items, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, wall art, bath bedding, face masks, phone cases, stickers, bags, fanny packs, socks, hats, and many other items. Please feel free to check out the Pro Shops. The link is in the description section below. And remember, it helps the platform continue to grow. Check out the Pro Shop and Who Dat.
Hey is uncomplicated with Tiege Hanley's simplified skincare system. Here's how it works. Go to Tiege.com, pick your system, and get handsome. 3 simple steps. Wash, scrub, and moisturize. It's that simple.
Guys, go to Tiege.com and get started today.
To be a therapist, in my opinion, is one of the most humbling things ever.
A platform like BetterHelp is very important because it allows access to affordable mental health care.